And so I think that no matter what your situation is, if you're unsure, reach out, do the consultation, because we spent about a half hour, 45 minutes together just talking about the company and the state and, would we be good partners to work together. So I, for one, had a great experience working with you, Tony, and other members of your team. It was very easy. I don't feel like I ever had to lead or guide the conversation. I feel like you knew exactly what to ask, when to ask it, how to evaluate what was happening. And then you came back with incredible solutions that I don't think we would have been able to come up with on our own. So ultimately, I give it a 10 out of 10. And I'm really looking forward to continuing on this relationship in the future. And that's my take.
I'm here with Factum Financial, Emma and Nathan. It's great having you guys here. Please give the people a round of introductions so they know who you are.
I think Lynn will let you go first. No, I don't. Okay, ladies first. Well, my name is Emma Irvin. I am the Director of Operations here at Factum. And this is Nathan. I'll let him give his introduction.
I am in charge of systems over at Factum, so the joke is I am the systems plumber. I handle all the crap that happens with technology, which is a lot sometimes. And that's what I do.
There we go. And who's Factum? What is Factum? What do you guys do?
So at Factum, we are a whole life insurance agency, and we actually specialize in what's called the infinite banking concept, is what it's commonly referred to. And it's basically just using whole life insurance to create private banking systems is like the simplest way that I could put it. It's what a lot of wealthy elite families do. And it's kind of like a well-kept secret. And so we're really passionate about bringing that knowledge to middle America and, kind of bringing the control back into just the everyday person's hands.
Awesome. Perfect. Well, let's get started. I'm curious. I think, Emma, you said you found us originally through YouTube or through our content, and then you reached out to us. Could you give us a bit of a backstory? Sort of what was the problem you guys were facing? What made you even research about OpsKings, book a call, and then what made you guys end up working with us in the first place? What was the problem you guys were facing before working with us?
Well, my main priority for the year in my position was to create a company brain for Factum. We have pretty much every system and process documented already, but to me, it felt really all over the place and it wasn't connected. And I saw different holes and issues and problems happening, miscommunication. People aren't knowing, what responsibilities they have, who covers what. And so I got on YouTube because I wanted to see what other companies had done and how they had created a company brain. And so that's how I found you guys. And I went to your website and just did a little bit more research. And so I instantly was intrigued because I saw that you were experts in this field. And so I thought, if anything, I can just learn a little bit more by talking to you guys and just getting some feedback on, do you think we would even be a good potential client to work with? And turns out we were. And so we just kind of we went right into it, started working together, and it's been a great experience. I feel so much more clear about how I oversee Factum because I'm basically the one that sees every person and department and contractor and everything. And I need to make sure that it's all functioning cohesively. Mm-hmm. And so now I just feel way more, what would the word that I would use? Like just way more capable of doing that now that we work together.
Yeah, no, that's great piece of content. When you mentioned like one of your bigger goals was to do a company brain. For people that don't know what a company brain is, because not all of them do. What was that? Is it a business process map? Were you trying to get more visibility for yourself? Were you trying to get more visibility for the team? What was the reasoning behind, hey, I need a company brain? What made you realize, hey, we need a company brain?
Mm-hmm. Well, the main reason why I knew is because I needed the visibility, because each person on our team has their own priorities in their own department and division. I'm actually like the only one that needs to oversee them all at the same time and make sure that we're all doing what we need to achieve our goals that we have set for the year, whatever. And so I looked at all the processes that we have and all the departments and all the people. And to me, it almost just looked like an incomplete puzzle. I had all the pieces to the puzzle, but they weren't together yet. And so that's kind of what I would describe a company brain as, is like you take each piece to the puzzle and you make sure that they fit together. And then at the end, you just have this beautiful masterpiece that is just like really easy to follow and understand, and you're not missing anything.
Oh, awesome. That's a great way to describe it. I got a question for Nathan, being the self-described systems plumber. We sort of took a look under the hood, sort of did an audit of your technology systems. What were some of the things that stood out for you, or potential blind spot that you maybe weren't aware before? Sort of we went through and audited some of the technology piece at Factum that now you're aware of.
I would say the data between the different departments, like Emma was saying. My job is to create the systems for everyone. And when you have unclear expectations in one department, it can bleed into another. And that trickle-down effect even happens at the systems level when you're putting together automations and software and stuff like that. And so having some areas where there's gaps and lack of information, it can affect really the whole company, even though it might seem that it's just affecting one department. So being able to draw that conclusion and then figure out, all right, once we nail down get more detailed and granular on what this department does and what the responsibilities are and how we track reporting and data and all of that, then it can become more clear throughout the whole company. So I think that's what stood out to me.
Awesome. No, that makes a lot of sense. I think one of the interesting things that we kind of figured out when we were doing an audit with you guys is originally there were lots of sort of ideas that we had that were like, hey, we know there's some level of automation that we know we should do. But as we were going through the company brain process, as we were auditing the entire process, we kind of spotted some things that we might have not kind of originally thought. So we went into there are some organizational changes potentially that we were looking at. We then kind of went into incentives and sort of performance bonuses potentially for some other departments. How would you guys describe what were the sort of expectations and the kind of ideas that you had going into the process versus kind of what you were left with, and some other kind of new ideas and new perspectives on the process and the problems that we were able to identify? So if you guys could share sort of what did you initially think that we would help out the most with, and then sort of what was the end result that kind of either surprised you or you weren't maybe expecting it?
I can take this one first, Nathan. So I knew going into it that we would map out the company brain and we put all the pieces together. But what I didn't realize was the actual business strategy behind it, and how, you guys were going to actually evaluate and sort of audit the entire company to try and find areas where we could improve, so that at the end result, the business is going to generate more money or whatever our business goal is. That is the piece that I wasn't entirely expecting. And so I found that really allowed us to be clear about what our expectations are and what our end result or our end goal was. Just more so than like mapping out a process and just saying, okay, now this process is complete and this person knows what their responsibilities are. It's like, well, no, how does this process actually support what our business goal is? And I thought that was really cool.
Mm-hmm. Nathan, how about yourself?
I think when I went into it, I was more expecting focus on just systems. But like Emma said, you really take the company and turn it on its head. I think you guys did a fantastic job of listening and understanding what the company is about, what each role is in each department, how they all correspond with each other and connect. And then you took a step back. You did the brain of the company, drew it out, and then you came back with some pretty insightful things. It's as if you had been in the company I wouldn't have known you the way you talked, that you weren't part of Factum for over a year, just with your understanding in such a short amount of time. And then with that knowledge, I like what Emma showed me one of your guys's marketing videos before we connected. But I like in there that you say, we identify the problems, and then the solution isn't always, automate this or do this, because sometimes the first thing you need to do is ask why or what's important with it, and then determine what the goals are and move forward. And it doesn't always look like a systems approach. And being my position in the company is very much system approach. That's kind of how my brain is like just wired and glued. And sometimes it's a little bit difficult to pull away from that thought process. And so I think you guys do a fantastic job of balancing both fixing the problems with automation-oriented solutions, or company, like Emma said, different changes with maybe personnel or procedures, or making sure that the right people are sitting on the right place of the bus of the company so that everything runs smoothly. It's a full top-down approach. It's much more than just optimization, even though that's your guys's name. It's really a complete flip over and shake it all out, get it all on the table, and then you're essentially rewriting what the company is. So I think you guys do a marvelous job of that.
Awesome. Wow. That's some really, really, really nice words. Thanks, Jason. One of the things that I think is interesting with our engagement is, obviously, Nathan, you're sort of the internal resource in the team. So we actually weren't doing any of the tech, and sometimes our prospects and the people, when they think about OpsKings, they primarily think about, all right, what automations you guys build, what technology did you guys implement to actually make the biggest sort of value driver. And a lot of the times, and I like that you highlighted that, and I would want you guys to expand on it a bit more, is we haven't done any automations for you guys. This was a strictly a audit and then a consulting approach towards your process, and kind of doing a game plan for what are the initiatives kind of moving forward. Was that the expectation moving into the relationship? Obviously, we were, our audit is always sort of a phase one to our approach. And then depending on if the company has internal resources or they need external help, that's where we sort of step in on the implementation side. What would you guys say is the biggest thing that you feel like moving forward when you guys are going to be implementing these initiatives and this roadmap? What are the things that you feel like are going to be the most helpful for you guys to be able to implement this on your own?
I think I can go first, Emma, if you want, but I think the thing that really helped and will help is just having a clear understanding from the start of the roles of each department, and having the right people in the right spots doing their jobs. And then from there, creating the SOPs and the brain and everything, and and then creating the systems behind it. And I think from the start, there's been maybe a lack of communication, or being that the department that we are considering moving seats around and changing or whatnot, and changing the role of, it kind of was, I guess, the beta version of it. And so with that came first building the systems, but the systems were flawed, I think, a little bit from the start, because there wasn't clear communication, and because it was really just, I think, the beta version of that department. And now that we have clarity and we see the overall effect that the department has over the whole company, now we have that clarity and communication. So Emma's already done a great job of mapping out, all right, here's the changes that are going to take place. Here's the new SOP. We're very much more focused now that we've identified the problem. We're focused as a team in correcting this. So yeah, don't know if I answered your question or not, Tony, but that was my perspective.
For sure did. Emma, anything to add?
I agree with everything he said. I don't have anything to add.
Awesome.
That's pretty much what I was going to say too.
There we go. Great minds think alike, right? I really, I have no more questions for you guys. The final thing, or at least the thing that I always want people to sort of leave with this video is, if someone is thinking about potentially either kind of talking to us or working with OpsKings, what would be sort of the piece of feedback you'd tell them? What is it that they should expect? In which cases should they work with us? In which cases they possibly shouldn't work with us? Basically, what is the message you would give to people who are kind of on the edge and thinking about either booking a call with us or potentially engaging with us?
Well, one, I say do it. In my personal opinion, I think one thing I found interesting that you mentioned, Tony, was like there's sort of like two different types of people that will come to work with you. But the main thing I took away from it was like you have the people that are like the masterminds of the business. They're like the CEOs. They are running everything, and they don't necessarily think in like a process and a systems perspective, kind of like Nathan and I do, because that's our job. And so, of course, those people will benefit from working with you guys because ultimately they need someone like that on their team to help their business run efficiently. But I also think from the perspective of someone like Nathan and I, one thing that I was sort of apprehensive about a little bit before working with you guys was like, what will my coworkers think if I feel like I want like an expert opinion or I want like an outsider's viewpoint to sort of help me navigate this? Because it was a very big task to map out the company brain. And my thing to say to that would be, if anything, it made my coworkers actually look at me in a more positive light because they admired the fact that I was willing to actually seek out somebody that is better at this than me. And I learned a lot. I feel way more equipped to add on to our company brain and sort of continue on what we've already built. And so I think that no matter what your situation is, if you're unsure, reach out, do the consultation, because we spent about a half hour, 45 minutes together just talking about the company and the state and, you know, would we be good partners to work together? So I, for one, had a great experience working with you, Tony, and other members of your team. It was very easy. I don't feel like I ever had to lead or guide the conversation. I feel like you knew exactly what to ask, when to ask it, how to evaluate what was happening. And then you came back with incredible solutions that I don't think we would have been able to come up with on our own. So ultimately, I give it a 10 out of 10. And I'm really looking forward to continuing on this relationship in the future. And that's my take.
There we go.
I would say if you're on the fence, definitely do it like Emma said. So kind of an analogy I want to draw with the whole experience. So I get a lot of spam emails, probably like a lot of people these days. And a long time ago, I participated in some sort of focus group where they have a whole bunch of people and they ask you questions. They're wanting your opinion. And somehow I got on their spam list and I am flooded with, different opportunities to participate in focus groups and make $50 for 3 hours taking a survey, whatever. And we want your opinion, all that. And what's interesting, I draw that analogy. Like Emma said, she and I are both very systems oriented, blueprint type people. At Factum, we're pretty nerdy. If this is a Zoom call, you would see what we call a bank code. It's like a personality test. We take the 6 Genius widget test thing from I forget the author, and then we've
Working Genius.
The Working Genius. Yeah, thank you, Emma. Taking the Colby test, Myers-Briggs test to analyze like who we are as people and how we work. You know, and when you do that, you kind of figure out where everyone fits in the company, and then you get going and you dive super deep. And what I realized, one of my weaknesses, and probably happens with a lot of people, is you get so deep into the weeds that it's needed so badly that you need outside perspective to come in and shine some light over the whole company and give a fresh perspective, because you're so in it, you become so smart in your company that you're dumb through sometimes the blatant things that are right before you. And I speak for myself, you know, being a systems guy, I'll build something all the way to the nth degree, and then I'll neglect something that I didn't see because I'm so deep, and it takes outside perspective to shine the light on it. So that's what OpsKings does, is they provide that outside perspective that is fresh, because we're so deep into it, we no longer can see the sky, you know, we're so deep in the weeds. And so, and not only that fresh perspective, but they are experts in this. The fact that they do this for dozens and dozens of companies experiencing similar issues revolving around their operations, they can bring past experience with other companies to the table and give you a very holistic solution that's proven because they have that success with tons and tons of companies. So if you're on the fence, do it. I know that the other thing too is me as a systems guy, I was like, what do we need this other company coming in? We got this, and I, like I said in my earlier comment, it's much more of a holistic approach than you're expecting. It's not just like, oh, don't use Google Sheet, use this. No, it's a whole holistic solution, and they take that flashlight and shine it on the whole company, and you're able to see the flaws with it that you probably aren't seeing because you're too deep into it. So once you accept that reality, then move forward with OpsKings, you'll be happy that you did.
Guys, what can I say? Thanks so much for taking the time. Thanks so much for going through this process with us, and I can't wait to do a proper parts 2 a couple of quarters from now when we do some more stuff with you guys. Again, thanks for taking the time. Thanks for the kind words you guys have given us, and we'll look forward to the next one.
Thanks, Tony.
Thank you.
You're on.
Awesome.